Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be assembling my Apollo RFZ 250 Thunder, or however the order of that goes, Thunder 250. And we're going to be putting it together. I'm going to change out a few things right off the bat. That's going to just be simple things like engine oil, putting thread locker on every single nut and bolt on this thing, and then changing out the fork oil just because I already anticipate things that are going to need to be changed. I do have a Nibby racing carburetor because based on my experience and everything I've read on these things, I'm pretty much expecting issues with the carburetor. You know, irresponsive throttle or delayed response throttle, you know, just simple issues like that. We're gonna get straightened out later because I want to do my whole testing review on this bike, mostly stock, minus just the things that I just know need to be changed right off the bat. So I anticipate that this bike needing a new carburetor here in the future, but for right now, we're gonna run the stock one. I'll just change it out later as soon as I recognize it's a problem, basically. So I have done absolutely nothing to this thing yet. Everything is still completely intact the way it was, other than just to remove the box when I accepted delivery, cardboard that was around it, just to make sure, as far as I could tell, that nothing was damaged. And it came, I think I got it within like 2 weeks of ordering it roughly. It looked great when it came in. I did not notice anything on it that was damaged in shipping or broken or anything. But here's that cardboard box I just pulled out. Look and see what's inside of it. Tools to put it together. Okay, looks like in the box we've got the shifter, motorcycle toolkit, very cheap. You might want to upgrade that bag even if you use these tools. Volt, RFZ Racing. Looks like some tools, a little cheater bar, and the assembly manual. Okay, the other thing in here, handlebar clamps, another nut and bolt, a couple other little nuts and bolts and things, piece of plastic. We'll figure it out. Not actually a terrible looking owner's manual. Really not any different than my Kawasaki KLR 650 though. Brand new, got that owner's manual. It's packed well, have to say that. Like the brake caliper here. I'm going to leave that in the bubble wrap for now. It is a 223cc engine, so it is not a 250. This is something I've been wondering about because I keep seeing conflicting information right there. It says 223cc. We'll look at the actual engine. Today, this is one of the things I did pull off of here that I am going to make sure I get done before I call it a day, and that is getting the battery filled up and on the charger. A lot of people say to replace the batteries right away. I am not going to do that here. I'm going to use the stock battery because batteries need replaced so often that why would I waste the battery even if I only get 6 months out of it. Battery is pretty simple. You just pull this seal off, pull your little nut and bolt bag off. Take your liquid, battery acid. You're just gonna stick this on there, stab it down, let it drain out. So if you're like me and they weren't draining out, they do provide you this little pin. You just poke the top. I've got some holes already in here and it's already drained out. But you just poke the top of these, and the instructions say that all of this should be drained out into the battery. That's done. Pull this off, place the seal on. All right, now you just get that puppy on the charger. All right, I should be at the point of being able to lift this off. Try and do it without scratching anything up. So this is gonna make it a lot easier for me to get to all the nuts and bolts that I need to put Loctite on. I want this bike to be everything that it possibly can be. Part of that is going to be just lubing, Loctiting everything. Not that this is in the instructions for assembly. I am putting grease on the axle here, the front axle, before I install the front wheel. So I put Loctite on this nut, but I'm seeing now that there's some sort of locking ring in there. All right, torque spec on this is supposedly 89 foot-pounds. Something I nearly forgot to do was put some Loctite on these axle locking clamps, or whatever the actual term is. It's a clamp that locks the axle in place. I forgot to put Loctite and tighten those down, so make sure you do that. All right, so now to install the handlebars. These two pieces, you lay them flat. There's some markings on here to help you kind of get everything centered and squared up. Clamp on top. Try and get everything lined up. There's that. These actually have little locking pieces on them too, little lock rings on them. Comes with 4 nuts. Just install them, thread it on. Yeah, these aren't going anywhere. They don't need Loctite on them. They are stiff as can be getting them on. I tend to like the bars a little higher. It'll probably work. We'll start there. I'll make adjustments later. All right, now we're going to tighten these down. All right, it looks like you got to take 3 nuts off to get this front fender on. Why they already had to be installed on the bike, I don't understand. Looks like the only 3 we use are the 3 that were on the bike. Looks like I'm gonna have to remove this. Or you really have to remove the battery to get to the air filter. Yep, looks like I'm gonna have to remove this. That seems fairly unreasonable to me to have to do that much to get that air filter out. But it's out, we're gonna oil it. This air filter actually doesn't seem that bad for what it is. There's a little oil on it already, I can tell. I'm gonna get some more on there though. Getting that air filter out and servicing it is not going to be a super fast, very fun chore. I imagine it'll take you 20 to 30 minutes every time you have to do it with everything you got to take off. Now we are to the point where we're going to slide the battery in after I get this nut and bolt placed back in here. Yeah, the thing about my Loctite thing is apparently the Chinese manufacturers have been listening to customers or something along those lines, because most of these nuts have their own locking. It's not like the nylon locking nuts. There's like little wires up at the top, and it works the same as a nylock nut. Got this all charged up last night. Looks like they want all this ran through this hole to me. It seems right. Everything seems like it's about the proper length for that. All right, we'll connect the positive first. I'm going to put this where I think I want it. I'll adjust it later if I need to. Shifter's not folding, wish it was. You're definitely going to want it a little bit lower so when your foot is off, you're not pushing on it. So definitely when you install it down a little bit. So this bolt right here is the bolt that you put in to link up the shock. So there's the shock, we're back here. I ran it through that side where the direction of all the rest of the bolts are going. This is on the swing arm. Sorry, this is on the frame. The swing arm link down here is what goes up in between. And then we'll just get our nut put on. I can't bring my tripod down low enough, so just know that nut's going on there. Looks like here on the brake, they may be giving you two options, a little shorter and a little longer with the two holes. I'm probably going to go with the longer one. Two 10mm bolts here to hold on the kickstand. This is definitely something you're going to want to Loctite down. Now, if I could just shimmy this piece on here in the way that it's supposed to be. I got this piece that I just cannot get in there. Whew, I got it. One thing we have to do before we can get the skid plate on is change this oil out. The oil that comes in it is no good. Basically, they just put it in there to keep everything lubricated. Anyway, bare minimum, this oil is not meant to be running the engine. And make sure the oil that you're putting in is something designed for clutches, wet clutches. Definitely a good idea to do that. Drain all this out, get new oil slapped in there. All right, we'll put the spring and plug back in. I feel like they just wanted me to never get in here because that is so tight. Finally got a good angle on it. Now, unfortunately, they don't give me an oil capacity, so I gotta just start guessing here. Seems like it should be every bit of 1 quart in this thing, but I'll put in maybe about half. It might be about half, and then just check it with the dipstick. I'm gonna go 3/4. It'll be at least 3/4. Yeah, it's not even quite on there yet, so it's at least a whole quart. Not think about the fact that it was leaning. So make sure when you do yours, you check that. Yeah, it looks like it's pretty much just right there at full. About 1 1/4, I would say, is probably what it'd get you right there. On the skid plate, I found it easier to put the 2 back nuts in and then go to the front nut. And make sure you watch. You'll over tighten them right through the plastic. If you're not paying attention, I did that on one. So watch out for that little assembly tip. All right, I think we're pretty much ready to start peeling off sticker protectant. One thing about these Chinese dirt bikes that has undoubtedly changed over the years, number one, just the styling of them. They look way better than they used to. A long time ago, first dirt bike I ever got was, I've overspent on it for what it was, but like $600 used 200cc Baja Motorsports dirt bike, and it was hideous. It was such an ugly bike. All right, so unfortunately this is not a first start. I finished assembling this thing probably roughly a week ago. The reason why I'm doing this first start now is because I've really started it maybe twice. I've not taken it on any ride other than to go park it after assembling it. So pipe's cold, it's a cold start. It is, again, cold start, but it's a warm day, warm winter day. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, I guess. Idle's good. when you give it a lot of throttle, it wants to die just like that. So carburetor needs work, and 90% of the time you just throw the NIMBY carburetor on there and tune it, and then it's in good shape. It doesn't have that problem anymore. It is what it is, I guess. Alright everybody, so the main purpose of this bike is to compare it to a similar price Japanese used, obviously, bike that I picked up, the XR250, similar size, similar engine, similar price, all those things. And so the ultimate goal is going to be, you know, should you buy an old used Japanese bike, or should you buy a modern used Chinese bike or brand new Chinese bike if you need something decent just to get you going? Honestly, my personal opinion on that now already is go buy the Japanese, but we'll see. These Chinese things seem to be getting a little bit better all the time. These RFZs, at least in the pit bike models, are supposedly fairly decent dirt bikes. People beat the absolute crap out of them, and sure, you have to change the parts on them a little bit more often, but, you know, getting something brand new versus something that, you know, who knows, it could blow up as soon as you buy it, taking on your first ride. Make sure that if you're not a subscriber and you want to see future content on this bike, and of course other quads, dirt bikes, things like that, that you hit the subscribe button. Also make sure you hit the notification bell whether you are a subscriber already or not. As always, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, let YouTube know that you like this video, so that YouTube will let other people know who may be interested in this kind of content. That this was a decent video and worth watching. And of course, let me know in the comments below if you've got this bike, what your experience is with it. If you've got similar bikes, I'm really interested in the Trailmasters, the Chinese bikes, and then those X-Pros that they sell on Amazon, which this also is sold on Amazon. Those X-Pros, though, that everybody's buying off of Amazon, honestly seem like half-decent bikes off of everything that I've seen on them as well. So let us know in the comments below if you've got a modern Chinese bike and how it does for you. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.